beautiful people. Welcome to episode 2 of Mischief in the Pantry. This is a podcast where we laugh and learn about the wild world of work, from funny mishaps to horror tales. We're here to talk about your experiences in the workplace. And together with me today, I have two very special guests. And we are going to be talking about something that is related to workplace loneliness, but there'll be more to come on that. But before that, can I just invite the two of you to tell us a bit more about yourself and what you do? Can we start with Aissa? Tell us the great work that you do.
Oh, the great work that I do. Firstly, I'm a mother of two beautiful daughters. I think that's the greatest work I've ever done. By profession, I am a legal director of a property development firm. So I'm a legal counsel by trade, but by passion, I am a mindfulness advocate, teacher, and facilitator. So I've been trained by the Oxford Mindfulness Foundation to teach MBCT courses or mindfulness-based courses to the general public and those at work.
Yes. But what is mindfulness?
Oh, what is mindfulness, right?
Yeah, good luck with that question.
No. Mindfulness is the ability to pay attention to the present moment with purpose, but more than anything, with the attitudinal qualities of kindness, compassion, and non-judgment. And this is the second part that a lot of people don't really know about. And it's also the hardest part to inculcate, especially in a world where we're always striving and judging what we do and what other people do to us.
That's great, because it's not just about being present, but it is also to not be so judgmental to yourself, and I assume to the people around you as well.
Yeah. It's the quality of the presence that also matters, because when you're judging a situation, what you're doing is you're telling a story or a narrative about reality that may or may not be true. This could be the unpopular opinion that I will share later. I don't know. I haven't decided.
Yeah. We'll see what comes out later.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Aissa. And Dr. Brendan, tell us about your great work.
Thank you so much. I'm a psychologist by training, and my mission is to bring joy into the workplace. It's not an easy mission. It's something that is very challenging given the scenario, not just in Malaysia, but anywhere in the world, where there is the competition between being productive and being well. And wellness is something that I believe, if we really invest in it, will bring out that area of productivity. But most importantly, it'll bring out the area of joy in people. I want to see people really want to go to work and want to have a great day at work.
Because ultimately, wellness is a component of productivity.
That's right.
That's how I see it.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, how can you be productive at work if you're just not well, either physically or mentally, right?
That's right.
It's a formula. You got to plus wellness to equal
Productivity,
Absolutely.
yes. But the other thing that I notice is I'm so glad to be talking around, like, with people who believe in the same thing. So kita gang.
Yeah.
And I think what I'm really looking forward in today's conversation is to learn as much as possible from you. And like, workplace loneliness is a huge thing that is happening right now. And I think, share as much tips and tricks as possible. And hopefully that's something that the audience can take from there as well. Okay. And last but not least, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Emellia Shariff, and I will be your host for today. You can call me Em. Okay. Let's start with our opening questions. Okay, this is just to get to know you a little bit. Okay, start with a simple one. Okay, what do you do to decompress after a long day?
I feel like I should say meditation because I'm the mindfulness person here, but it's not meditation. It really isn't. And I know this sounds silly, but I kind of need a physical touch. I hug my kids, I hug my husband, just like holding someone's hand. So I think that's the first thing I do to decompress, and especially my 8-month baby. There's just something about holding someone, and it just feels really good.
And plus the smell is really good too.
Oh yeah, baby smell. Baby smell.
Baby
It's
smell is the best way to decompress.
The best, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but I like that because sometimes when you touch your loved ones, it is like an indicator, like a physical reminder that, hey, this is time to be present. You're done with work, you're home now, and I think it's a very good
It's part of the
physical.
grounding process, isn't it? It
yeah,
grounds
that's
you,
true.
to the realities of the present.
Yeah. So yeah, I absolutely like that. What about you?
Uh, I think I decompress best through music, and I I kind of like Christian music for myself personally. It helps me kind of like just relax and get into that meditative mode, I guess. Especially when I'm driving back from work, and it can be very stressful with the traffic jams and everything. And just listening to calm music actually helps me decompress.
I have a follow-up question, but I'm scared of being cancelled. What is Christian music? Is it like gospel sounding music?
It's a very wide. There's different genres in Christian music, but the one that I listen to is mostly one that helps me reflect inwardly, helps me kind of relax. It's not overly. It doesn't even have to be Christian music. It can be any kind of music. I just choose this one, but it can be any music that really gives you that calm and peaceful state. If you're listening to things that are kind of on the rockish side or heavy metal side, it doesn't do it for me. It might do it for some people, but it doesn't do it for me. So yeah.
You should share a playlist with us. I'm so curious right now because I decompress with music as well.
Oh, fantastic!
So the moment I get home, and this is something that my family and partner will complain about, because the moment I get home, I don't touch my phone anymore. I mean, once in a while you go and glance, but I will sit in my living room and I'll turn on the music and I'll just sit and sing along. Sometimes don't think about what happened during the day and stuff like that. But really, being the millennial that I am, I could decompress to My Chemical Romance or Panic at the Disco.
They're coming.
It works, But yeah, I'm curious to listen to your genre.
Well, in fact, the one that really does it for me is Christmas music. And so
yes, it's so feel good.
my kid thinks I'm nuts, but it's that I don't know why it's especially when I'm really stressed. Then I really turn on the Christmas music.
Yeah, I'm stressed out. I gotta get into a festive mood right now.
Absolutely. And then you feel kind of joyful again. You kind of you hear the ringing of the bells and the snowfall, and there's that sort of this kind of romantic notion to it, It reminds me of my time when I was in the States with the snow falling, and so there's different types of snow, right? There's this type of snow where when it falls, it's sort of magical. And then when it lays on the ground, it sort of sparkles. As if there's diamonds embedded in it.
I get what you mean.
Yeah?
Yeah,
and
for sure.
That's the kind of snow that really calms me, and that's the kind of, the association between that music and my experience.
It's
brings
like
a lot of
snow
calm.
with the morning light, right? When it reflects.
Or even with the moonlight,
Yeah.
it kind of reflects and it kind of sparkles,
But I can't help but think about our Raya music.
Oh, yeah.
Our Raya music is not therapeutic at all. They are sad. If you listen to Raya songs,
They're so depressing.
You're like,
oh, really?
They're all sad. They're about
people
maybe
who
they're
have
not
passed
all
on.
sad, but they make me feel. I think the Malay word is sayu. Even the happy ones, balik kampung, but you feel like this longing of your kampung and stuff like that. So I don't think you achieve the same thing with Raya music.
But I have to add to that. I know it's not Raya music, but Sheila Majid's music. I mean, I love it. There's something about her voice. I know she celebrated with 9,000 fans just
recently.
I was
one of them.
Oh, you were? Oh, wow.
I went. I was it was so many older generation around, and I have never seen that many uncles and aunties singing their heart out and dancing. It was super cute. I think some videos.
And the one that does it for me is Legenda. Oh, that is so beautiful, You just listen to it and you just feel like you're taken into a different world.
Yeah.
I've actually heard her sing just in front of me for a particular function. There was a lot of very important people there. And I remember thinking it was a bit sad when she's singing this beautiful music. People were just continually eating in their dining. They weren't paying attention. They were, So what I did was I actually took some flowers from the table and went up and actually gave it to her. And I said, thank you so much for your beautiful voice, in terms of singing that song. And so she took the flowers, and that was my moment in terms of, I will always remember. So from today, whenever I hear the music Legenda on, and then I sing it, and I also remember the moment.
Oh, there's a lot of associations with you.
Yeah,
I noticed
absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
Just like 5 minutes into the podcast?
Yeah.
Okay, second question. This is, I'm not sure how you're going to react to this. Are you a fan of true crime series, docu-series, or movies?
No.
What about you?
Yes and no.
Okay, tell me more.
A long time ago, I don't know whether you guys were born, I might age myself. A long time ago, there was this show called Criminal Minds.
Yeah.
And okay, you guys remember it.
Yeah.
And it was so good because, they kind of help you. These were FBI people who were trained in behavior analysis, right? And they would go and try and solve all these different crimes, which were based on true stories, especially the first 3 seasons. After that, it kind of went down the hill. But the first 3 seasons was really good. And I thought it was fantastic because it helps you show that, detective work is not just about going and shooting people. It's about trying to get into the minds and understand why were the crimes created. Why did this person do what they did? And it's very similar in the corporate sector as well, isn't it? In terms of...
Did you just,
no, I didn't
did you
mean
just
it.
equate like true crime to the corporate world?
No,
I can
but-
see that.
I mean, I'm not shocked, but I'm shocked.
But I don't mean that, what I meant was, especially when things may not be going so well in the corporate sector, right? It's about taking a step back. It's not about going and shooting yourself through this whole thing about attacking, but it's taking a step back and understanding, okay, what is happening here? Why is there this particular culture? What's the history of it? Why are people segregated? Why are some people isolated? And then why are there these mama gangs that exist where they're very much into their own space, but they don't include other people in the workplace, right? So you want to kind of take a step back and try to understand it. So behavioral analysis unit.
The behavioral analysis part is applicable in a lot of different...
Absolutely.
Yeah. But I don't think I would classify that as true crime. I'm just thinking about it because I think like FBI, Criminal Minds, because they focus more on the science behind it. So I think when I was thinking of true crime, I was thinking of stories that actually put front and center the story of the criminal in itself, not the So like I definitely cannot watch true crime. I think I started.
I will read the Wikipedia, but I won't watch it. That's how I want to know, but I don't want to go through the gruesome details. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I watched Dahmer on Netflix, and oh my god, it was so hard to watch. I didn't even finish the first episode. I think I was like 20 or 30 minutes in, and I was like, yeah, okay, this is goodbye. I'm not ever gonna watch this or finish this because I kept thinking of, it gives you a lot of feelings when you watch this thing, and I don't relax to it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Completely the same.
Yeah. And I read this article about whether or not you're the kind of person who can relax watching true crime or not. So I wanted to test it out because both of you are like mental health experts and mindfulness experts. And I think the theory is somewhat proven, like we don't enjoy.
I do not enjoy. Like even with all my training with mindfulness, sometimes certain things are very sticky. And so these things stay with you, and sometimes it's automatic, closing your eyes, you have that person's face or whatever it's done. And sometimes it's not even what was exchanged on television. Correct me if I'm wrong, sometimes you think about your loved ones. It's so easy to fear for them and what has happened to other people, and then you think about, am I doing enough to protect them? And it's then that's really hard.
And then you just go separate. On and on.
Yes. So I'm like, no thanks.
I also think you kind of hit it on the nail in terms of, you use the keyword relax, right? And relax and true crime just doesn't go hand in hand.
Yeah. My sister does though.
Some people loved
I
it.
worry for her because
Right.
every time like a true crime like comes out on Netflix or on whatever like streaming platform, she'll be like, "Oh, have you watched this?" I was like, "No," and I don't plan to. And she would be like, "Oh, this happened and this happened." But for her, she kind of like turned it into something productive, and she's like, "Oh, so next time you should do this. If you go to a hotel, you should pick this room. And if I don't know, she start like analyzing her
Safety
surroundings."
tips.
So yeah, I think
I worry about people who immerse themselves too much into where violence is just the theme of the whole show or the whole game that they're playing. Because we've seen studies, research studies that show that the more immersed you are in those kind of shows or games, the risk goes up in terms of dysfunction.
Yeah.
So it's just something that you want to watch for, especially for our kids. We got to know what they are doing, because we don't want things like recently a lot of difficult and disturbing things have happened in the schools.
Yeah.
And a big part of it is you've got this people blaming the school system, and then some people blaming the parents. Blame is just being thrown left, right, and center. But at the same time, we need to remember that anything in any situation, we are human beings, and it's easy for us to be influenced by things that we see, we observe, we do.
Absolutely.
You know?
Of course.
And I'm also reminded of this study. It's so basically, and this involves adults. And when they play a video game where they take on the hero or the good guy character, basically, after they finish playing the video game, in their real life, they started doing things that are heroic as well. They're more helpful to strangers, for example. They help people around them a bit more. So I think even for adults, even when you play a video game where you yourself know this is not the reality, this is just a game, and it still impacts your behavior afterwards. So imagine the impact on children, who still developing when they watch this or they immerse themselves in it. So yeah, I completely echo your concern. I think
And it's okay if the themes are healthy and positive, and they, after watching it, they go out and do good stuff, But oftentimes we find that a lot of the, what's on the media and what's on games has got more, the developers haven't thought through how it influences them in a negative way. And I think that's very important. Yeah.
suddenly I feel like, okay, this is getting heavy. I want to ask my last question. And this is because I overheard your conversation earlier. And the question is, what is your spirit animal?
Oh.
You're like, I don't think about spirit animals.
Oh my God. No,
Okay, if there is, don't think about what is your spirit animal. When I say an animal that you can relate to in vibe, what is the first animal that comes to mind?
Can it be aspirational?
Sure.
I want to be a sloth. Like I feel like the epitome of happiness is being a really slow being, just kind of chilling on the tree and not doing anything. I am not there yet, but I would like
You're
a
climbing
sloth
the tree now.
to be like slow and steady.
Are you at least at the koala stage?
No, I feel like I'm like, when you ask me, I'm like, what is an animal that is like, that seems like it's on coffee? Like, that's me. Like, or is the opposite of a sloth? But I'm like, make it aspirational. I want to be a sloth. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, people are so different. When you say aspirational and a sloth, and I'm like, so what do I do? Like, just sit around? I want to do things,
Yeah. No, but I want to sit around and be completely fine with sitting around.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
it's
love that.
underrated. Just like chilling and really just not doing anything.
What about you, Dr. Brendan?
I have two spirit animals.
Wow. Overachiever this one.
One spirit animal is the animated one, and the other is the real one. The animated one would be Mickey Mouse, and that would be my spirit animal, because I somehow Mickey Mouse. I want to aspire to it because he always brings joy, joy and happiness to everywhere. Because I kind of like that, I wish I could be more like Mickey. But my real animal, I think, would be a dog.
Which kind?
And one of those Saint Bernards or golden
big
retrievers,
ones.
kind of,
Those
those
happy
big fluffy
ones.
ones that, where you just have a look at that dog and you just, and they're faithful, dogs are faithful. My dog, when I go back, no matter what happens, even before I feed or even after I feed, she just wants to play. She just wants me to know that she loves me and she wants to play with me. And that, I think, you can't get it from any other animal. Of course,
Other than kids.
Okay.
cat
So my
people.
option is a kid or a dog, basically.
Yeah, I mean.
No, kids definitely.
Kids
Yeah.
just smell and, all your worries
Yes.
go away.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
they kind of remind you to
Absolutely.
just play and
That's true.
remind you of your basic needs, if anything. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I had a spirit animal, but I'm so embarrassed to say it now because it's super not
Is
chill.
it a cat?
It is not a cat, it's a lioness.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I just relate to it so much. And I think, when you watch like one of those National Geographic kind of documentaries, and when there's a lioness doing things, I just feel so fascinated by their sense of purpose. Like they know what they want, they have a role, they play their role well, they provide, they protect.
They do all the work,
they-
basically.
Basically.
Yeah.
And they take care of the people around them. I think that's so important to me because I think community is something I really like. I don't think I would do well if I don't have like a sense of community. So I think like Linus, and if you want a community, I think there's a saying, right? If you want to have a village, you have to be an active like villager. Like you have to play your role. You can't have a village
that's
if you're
true.
going to be absent,
Wow.
all
Yeah.
the time. So I feel like I envision myself playing a role like that.
I love
Like,
that.
you know?
I love
Yeah,
that.
I want to be part of your pack. Like,
Just not chill, or it doesn't also bring joy. I'm not sure what it brings.
If I was the male lion, I'm running away right now because the female lion is supposed to be the more fierce of the
yes,
two.
yes.
They're
They
doing
do
it.
everything. The male lion just sleeps.
And look pretty.
Yes, yes, yes.
Look absolutely pretty. Okay. So I want to move on to the second part. I hope we've like warmed up and got to know each other enough. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to read you a story. So a shout out to all of the online forums, Reddit and whatnot. So this is a story from Reddit, I believe. So also a reminder to all of our listeners, if you are interested to have us discuss your workplace story, you can just submit it to us and we'll discuss it in the upcoming episode. So let's talk about the story, okay? This is from subreddit. It's called Computer Science Career Questions. Okay, the title is Eating Alone for 5 Years. Here's the story. Hey all, I've been working at a well-known tech company for over 5 years now. And honestly, the experience hasn't been the best. More downs than ups. When I was younger, I used to blame the company, the culture, and even myself for why I wasn't happy. But the more I think about it, I realize it's because I'm just not connected with anyone at work. I've eaten lunch alone almost every single day since I started. I know it sounds super sad, but I've just gotten used to it. I'm already sad. I know. I'm not antisocial or awkward. I have friends outside of work that I hang out and travel with, but inside the office, I feel completely alone. I've tried to reach out, be more chatty and friendly, but the best that comes out of it is a basic acquaintance type relationship. Everyone either keeps to themselves or already has their own clique, and I don't belong to any. A part of me wants to quit and start fresh, but I'm so scared I'll just end up lonely again. I really miss how easy it was to connect back in college. Is this just adult life now? Has anyone else experienced this? How do you actually build meaningful work relationships? They say your network is your net worth, and I feel severely deprived and lonely. Any ideas?
Oh my God.
I know.
More common
Let's
than you
start
think.
with, have you felt that way before? Perhaps not for a prolonged period of time, but maybe perhaps, you're new at a new workplace and, for a month or two. Have you ever felt that way?
I definitely felt that way for, I don't know what prolong is, but for the better part of 6 months. I came back from doing my master's. I decided to shift industries in the legal industry. So I went from litigation to corporate M&A. So of course, it's a big shift. I went into what was perceived to be like a really famous and really good law firm.
But also known for?
Also known to do crazy hours. And mind you, I've done crazy hours when I was in litigation, but crazy hours when you don't have a supportive group, it just felt really unsafe. I was in it felt like I was very alone because it felt like I was the only one who didn't know how to do things.
Yeah.
I had a workmate in the same office who I found out later kept feeding information about me to my boss. So I was in a threat state, like I didn't feel safe to even talk to anyone because maybe the information would be relayed to this other person. And because I was the only lateral hire, everyone was homegrown.
Terrible.
Everybody already had their groups. So I felt...
So you were like the outsider.
Yeah, I completely felt like an outsider, and I felt like they hired me knowing my litigation background. I thought that I would have a little bit more guidance and training, but I didn't. And so it came to a point where I felt like so alone because am I the only one struggling? Am I the only one not getting it? Nobody understands me. Everything I do, I felt like I was getting kind of like scrutinized. And if I'm being really honest, I felt like I didn't even have time to socialize.
Wow.
I would come like really early, before 8 a.m. and sometimes I'll go back at 4 a.m. and still the work is not... The work is still not done. And like, it also felt like, how can I be social when you give me this much work without any training, without any support? So that was when I started developing panic attacks. So, and it took a very long time to unlearn or get out of panic attacks simply because once you get a panic attack once, it's very easy to trigger that flight of fright response. So even when I quit, like even things like certain emails or certain tone that people take me, I'll get a panic attack because of what happened. So we discount what loneliness does to our mental health. I think there was a statistic by the U.S. Surgeon saying that loneliness is not just an epidemic; it's as harmful as taking 15 cigarettes a day because you are 30% more likely to die prematurely from loneliness because of all these related mental health issues. For me, like panic attacks, when you feel like you're alone and it's horrible, but you can't reach out to anyone.
I want to get into what did you do to kind of like deal or cope with the situation. But I want to direct the next question to Dr. Brendan first, right? If let's say, in your work, maybe someone comes and talk to you and say that this is what you're experiencing at work, what would you say? What would you advise them to do?
Okay, so two things. One is what would I say, and the other is what advice would I give? Let's go with the first slide in terms of what would I say about a situation like that, and not directly to a person who's going through it. I would say that it's unfortunately more common than we think. It's happening in very often across Malaysia in various industries. But I think it's more in certain types of industries more than others, especially the ones which has high stress levels in it. It almost seems, and I think you kind of hit it on the nail, it almost seems like it is industries or places of work where the stresses are high. It's very much correlated with isolation. And for two reasons. One, I think it's because you don't have time, is what you said. But the other is also because of the culture in that particular company or that particular industry. It is already, it's a dog-eat-dog world. And I shouldn't be saying this because my spirit animal is a dog.
I was just minding at the...
How can I use that? But so I'm going to change it. It's a cat eat cat.
No.
Oh.
As a cat lover, I protest.
Okay. All right. You'll find
another
another
animal.
animal.
You can say
sloth.
Definitely, that's super accurate.
It's a sloth eats sloth world. So it's, I think, when stress is high, competition is high, naturally there's the fight and flight response that you alluded to. And for those who are isolated, it's more of the freeze or flight response. For those who tend to gang together and have their mama groups or their smoking groups or whatever groups that they have, it's more the fight response. I can click with you, I can be a part of a gang, and we need to have this informal grouping so that we can survive this very high stressful workplace or this very high toxic workplace, which also increases the toxic level in that workplace. So I think in that regards, that is something that I would state outright that it is unfortunately very common across Malaysia. And I keep hearing it grow across Malaysia as well. I think more and more, we have more clients talking about how isolated they feel. More especially among men, to be honest. Women seem to, I mean, it happens among women as well, but for some reason, women have grouping, they have their own network.
we have more besties,
Yeah.
basically.
Whereas men...
And we love talking about it.
And we love talking about it, absolutely.
Men, we are not very good at it.
Yeah.
We tend to be very superficial, even with our own friends, right? And if you find a man who is deep, he usually is deep by himself because most men are not deep, So in that sense, I think the mental health of men in the workplace is a much greater issue that I'm very concerned about, especially when it comes to isolation
So on
in the
that
workplace.
note, what I'm hearing is there's a lot of validation, or this happens
Yes.
and it's a serious issue.
It is a serious issue.
So the second part is, what would you advise them to do? But before that, Aissa, I think you have something to add on earlier.
Yeah. No, because you mentioned about men and women, right? So, there's research to show that women overall, we have a trigger warning, suicidal ideation is more likely to happen with women, much less likely in men, but men are more likely to actually do the deed.
Absolutely.
Simply because even though we have that ideation, we have that kind of support system. So that's the only thing I wanted to add.
Yeah.
And I wanted to add something to what you just said, in terms of, if you look at our findings in Malaysia, especially in terms of the National Morbidity Study by the Ministry of Health, they do the studies practically every few years. Our mental health rates is one of the highest in the world. It used to be 1 in 10. 1 in 10 people in Malaysia have struggle with mental health issues. Now it's going down to 1 to 8, maybe even lower, the ratio, which means that among all the people, if you have 10 people in a room, one may have some mental health issues.
Yeah. I'm also reminded of the study by Relate Malaysia in 2018.
Yes.
So in our line of work, we help organizations create safer cultures, right? And obviously, when you talk to companies and businesses, they want the business case. So I often would cite this study that in 2018, Relate Malaysia found that the cost of mental health issues in the Malaysian workplace has costed us 1% of our GDP.
Yes.
So you might be thinking, 1%, that's not much. But 1% of our GDP is 15 billion ringgit.
15 billion.
So
that's
basically, every year, and this is in 2018, and it's expected to be a lot higher now. So think about it as a business, every single year you're losing 15 billion ringgit just goes out because you did not manage, the well-being and mental health of your employees. And on top of that, there is also a study by an Australian consulting firm. And they found out that, it's similar, it's a high cost, but they did the study a bit further and they look at who's bearing all of this costs. And they found that 70% of the cost is actually borne by the employers. And that's a huge case to be made there. And I always say, look, taking care of your people is lucrative for the business.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's not just money draining to not do it, but I think there was a study by Google, the Aristotle Project, where they show that high-performing teams are teams that have psychological safety. Yeah, because they are able to innovate, make mistakes, take risk. So it's a higher predictor of success than the person's skill or intelligence. So it's not just like it's money making if you invest in psychological safety for your employees.
And it's unfortunate that a lot of companies in Malaysia, probably around the world as well, don't get it in terms of they don't understand what psychological safety is. Wait a minute, I'm keeping my staff safe. What do you mean about psychological safety? They're all safe.
I'm abiding by OSHA. You know, like, there's no psychological safety in OSHA, right? Technically, I know. We will argue that there is. But I have heard that arguments being thrown like so many times by some of the biggest names, corporate names in Asia. And, and oftentimes we would have to come back and say, hey, psychological safety is this and that, it's foundational. If you believe in the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it's core, it's basic, right? You can't argue that you would want your team to feel, empowered to innovate and make decisions and collaborate if you don't have this basic level safety that they're supposed to have.
Yeah, sorry. This idea of safety, because the example that I was talking about just now, I was in survival mode, basically. When you're in freeze or fight or flight, what happens is you're either hyper aroused, meaning you're hyper vigilant, you're constantly on, you're overthinking, you're perfectionism, and it looks like you're a hard worker, but what happens is that it's unsustainable because that's what leads to exhaustion and burnout. But on the opposite side of the spectrum, which is freeze, and correct me if I'm wrong, and this comes from all that isolation, is when you just become like really numb. You're like, I procrastinate everything. I don't want to have difficult conversation. I'm averse to doing things. And like you're physically there, but mentally you're not.
You've checked out.
Yeah. So on both situations, what happens, because you're in survival mode, the amygdala hijacks your prefrontal cortex, which is where the part of your brain that's like the adult, the part of your brains that can come up with solutions, innovation, and productive part of your brain just gets turned off. And so whatever it is, if you invest in making people feel safe, safety is not just psychological, it's like a basic, like you said, it's an innate need that we all have, and it affects our output. It does cost people money. So
one of the biggest problems in Malaysia right now that I'm hearing about is presentism. Now, we've heard of absentism, where people don't turn up for work. Presentism is what you just said. People turn up for work, but they're not actually there.
silently quitting.
Yes.
It could be quiet quitting. I've heard like presentism. And actually, it's not just freeze. There's also like, it's a similar reaction with flop as well, right? Because we are discovering like new trauma responses. So we know fight and flight, and you mentioned freeze, and flop is similar to freeze, I reckon. And I remember talking to, when we do training, and someone would come up to me and they would say, hey, I have this boss, I'm having such a hard time at work. And when I would recommend things like, hey, I can help you with a framework to have a conversation, to have this difficult conversation, I can tell you what to say and how to say it, we can come up with that collaboratively. And it is an immediate like, no, I know you say this framework works for difficult conversation, but I'm just not willing to take that conversation and to take that risk. I think because like what Aissa mentioned, right? They're scared, they've checked out. They just don't believe that this is something that the employer care about.
What I hear from some of the organizations is that we've tried it already and it didn't work. We've given our feedback, we've voiced up, but year after year, nothing happens. They ask us for our views, they ask us for feedback, they want to know what staff is thinking and needing. But that's it. It comes up in a report, but no action is taken.
Or they take some tokenistic action, like, you come to work one day, we'll do yoga in the morning, and then we learn how to make some batik painting in the afternoon, and then, we'll do something else in the evening, right? But when you ask the question, but what are you actually doing to change the culture, to change the workload, to change, the work structure, perhaps make it more flexible, to reprioritize things, right? And none of those things are done. So I think if you're like higher up in an organization and you think you've addressed the issue because you do those kind of activities, please know that those are not solutions. They are barely a stopgap, you know?
One of the things that sometimes organizations say is, but I already have EAP services. I already have a counselor in place. If they're having problems, if they're having stress, they can go and see the counselor. They can go and see the psychologist. They can see you, Dr. Brendan. But they fail.
You solve the problem for us.
Yeah, you solve the problem for us. But they fail to recognize that the problem is systemic. It's in the system. You need to look at it from a systems level and look at how can we, address the bigger issue.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, in the mindfulness world, the biggest mental health flop was, have you heard of the Amazon's? So Amazon, at one point in time, created this mindfulness cubicle. So it's like a potty kind of thing that they put in the warehouse, and they call it Amazon.
Oh.
And so...
I just got it.
Yeah, so employees could go in and then watch some mindfulness videos and do some practices. And it got huge criticism because you have this cube and think that you are like encouraging mindfulness or encouraging well-being, but you don't even allow bathroom breaks for your warehouse workers. And it's a complete sham, and it's completely performative. Nobody actually used what the workers call it coffins of death. Because when you go in, you know that you're not actually being efficient, you're taking time off. So that's an example of like companies just really not thinking about or not meeting the employees where they are and doing things or changing the systems where it actually matters.
Yeah. So this is something that we see a lot, right? But the trend is the same. What they're essentially doing and signaling to their employees is that if you feel burnout, or if you feel tired, if you feel like, you can't cope, you need to learn to cope better.
Absolutely.
You need to learn how to do this. You need to, improve your skill, increase your capacity.
Because you're not strong enough.
Correct. Learn to meditate, deal with it, But if the question is, you got to pause and ask yourself, what are you doing as an employer? What are you doing that actually addresses the problem?
Absolutely.
Because EAP is not a solution. It's an analytical tool. Sure, you understand yourself a bit better. You have the report and you can go talk to a counselor, but the counselor can't change the structure of the company. The counselor can't change like your work hours, your workload, or whether or not your boss screams at you, right? He can teach you how to react when your boss screams at you. So I think that's also something that a lot of organizations here in Malaysia still don't understand.
And at some point, it also goes back the negative feedback loop to the counselor or to the psychologist and say, wait a minute, you're not effective because our people are still stressed. So you must be at the fault. Let's change the counselor. Let's change the psychologist.
Or let's have more. Let's do more frequent EAPs. Let's have more counselors. I've totally heard that as well.
Is it? Okay. I've not heard that, but all right.
At least you don't get fired in that situation. Okay, I want to move on to the second part of the earlier question that we parked earlier, which is, we know it's wrong, we know it's terrible for the people, and we ourselves hate it when we're in that situation. But back to Dr. Brendan, what would you advise this person to do to kind of like take active steps to deal with it, but also attempt at changing it?
I think there's a lot of things that one can do as an individual. Oftentimes, in our Malaysian culture, we tend to think that we can't do anything. Again, because of the power dynamics, the power difference between the leadership and the people below. But I think there's a lot of things that one can do. One is, very importantly, when we're talking about psychological safety, is speak up. To speak up and to let them know, about something. Oftentimes, people don't speak up in Malaysia, and that is very important. I worked with an oil and gas company where speak up was a very important component, not just for psychological safety, but for physical safety as well. And I thought they did a great job in terms of promoting it, in terms of ensuring that it was integrated in part of the culture. And I think more organizations can do that as well. So as an individual, I think promote getting them to understand that speak up is very important. The second, I think, is also helping them shift from a victim mentality to the word is not coming to my mind, but
a bit more empowered, I guess.
and more empowered, yeah.
Like championing themselves, advocating for themselves,
yeah.
right?
And also helping them realize that they're not alone. If this one person is feeling it, there's likely others in the organization who's also feeling similar. Unless this person is absolutely very, very different from everyone else, which very rare that happens.
You know, you mentioned Speak Up earlier, but first of all, hashtag Speak Up Malaysia. I was thinking of one of the courses that we offer at MIDP. It's called Critical Conversations.
Excellent.
And one of the skills that is, very popular these days is effective confrontations. And one of the tools that we teach in this class is Simon Sinek's model of effective confrontation, the FBI, feelings, behavior, and impact, right? And I think when we tell them, well, if you're having a hard time at work, try to speak up using the FBI model, right?
Yes.
So it means that you have to highlight your feeling, because study shows that when you come from a place of vulnerability, you will not be seen as entitled, but in fact, people tend to empathize and sympathize, right? And then you mentioned the behavior that is problematic, and then you mentioned the impact. So an example that is quite famous that he often used is, for example, when you have a leader who likes to change instructions or change their mind about like things, and what you could say is something like, when you change your instructions, I feel worried and I feel unstable. And I'm worried that if this continues over a long period of time, I'm not going to have faith in the direction and in the, instructions that you give anymore, because they change. So, and then he said, you should shut up and then let this person respond. If this person gets defensive, you repeat that back again. You say, when you do this, I feel like this, and I'm worried that in the long run, there will be no culture of trust. I cannot trust you anymore, or the team will feel jaded, for example. And then you say it until they take that, and you ask them then, so what do we do about it then? And I feel that that's a simple enough of a conversation structure. Of course, easier said than done, for sure.
I mean, I just want to build on what you said, because I think it's just excellent. And, we often talk about speak up, but I think what I'd like to really promote among leaders is listen up. You read my mind. We're on the same wavelength,
Yes.
So listen up, and I think we don't, somehow or another, we don't know how to listen effectively, especially as leaders, as CEOs, I think that is something that I think we can definitely improve on. But there needs to be that will, that commitment, that investment, that I want to do this because I know it's going to actually make this culture change. I know it's actually going to help people feel included. I know it's actually going to be good for the company and good for our ranking, good for the public image, of our company.
You'd be surprised how many leaders we're currently coaching to do active listening. And I mean, I can't say more on this, but when I was first asked, can you please coach our leaders? We got to improve their soft skills and whatnot. And I was like, what is the primary skill that you would like these particular leaders who's in their 50s, right? Who's been a leader a long time. And the first one is always active listening.
Wow.
And I'm seeing that trend more and more. Yeah.
And that's great that it's becoming a trend more and more, because then it means people are
at least they're
open
diagnosing
to
it,
that's right.
Yeah. But I want to hear your point of view, Aissa, in terms of, from a mindfulness perspective, right? If someone is in this position, similar to this person, as well as the experience that you've shared, I'm pretty sure now that you are where you are and you have all the knowledge that you have and the things that you practice on a daily basis. Looking back, what would you have advised the younger Aissa? What would you advise her to do in that particular situation?
It's really interesting because you mentioned about this framework and you were telling people to use it, but they are downright thinking it won't work.
Right.
And if I'm being honest, it was the same for me. In that scenario, or in that actual event, what I did was I just ended up quitting. And then I remember the exit interview, and this is when I'm already leaving.
Yeah, but which, by the way, is a huge loss. We've been friends a long time. She's great at what she does.
This is another thing that I want to talk about. Remember that about women and women's support and negotiation.
Okay, mental not making a mental.
But even in that state, I didn't feel safe enough to actually give my actual view. There was this fear that people would talk, people would say she couldn't hack it, so I couldn't be honest that that's the reason why. So the HR was actually like, no, tell us, be honest. Was it your boss? It's your boss, right? And I was like, no, I'm just going in a different direction. And so it comes to the question of like, you can have all these systems in place and all these strategies. And I can also give you strategies about having difficult conversations, having your anchor in the body. But if you truly believe that the system is broken, you're not going to make any effort to do anything. So it starts with that belief that first of all, you are not just a victim, you can be your advocate. And second of all, is also to not just speak up to your boss, because sometimes that's really hard. Also speak up to your friends or people at work. Yes, in my scenario, it's a bit difficult. But in most scenarios, you actually at least have a friend or two, or there's the HR system. But what I wanted to say about the women before I forget, there's also an added layer of being a woman. It's harder statistically, and research shows this, for you to advocate for yourself, because there's that feeling of, especially in the workplace, that you, not to say you don't deserve to be there, but you kind of have to be 100% qualified before feel like you belong.
Like misogyny at work, right?
Yeah. So when you want to fight for, you are less likely to fight for promotion or a pay bump. But research has shown that if a woman is fighting for someone else, she will go lioness. She will go all the way and fight for that person. So sometimes it's also finding an advocate for you at work. And yes, sometimes perhaps that advocate comes in the form of friendships, female friendships. Maybe that advocate is really somebody else. It could have been that nice HR person in that exit interview, but I chose not to see her as that person. So I think the first thing is just having the belief that you are not the problem, that you are quitting because it wasn't your fault, first of all, that this is happening, that you are burnt out, that you are exhausted. And I think the other thing that I want to talk about is that as an employee, you have a lot of rights, but one thing that you do have a right to is to quit. And that is actually huge leverage. People often see quitting as a form of failure, as like you're giving up, but actually quitting can be an empowering thing to do. I think at that point in time, the toll that it took on my mental health, I just stayed on because of this idea of like, I'm not a quitter, I should just stay and bury it.
Through it, right?
Yeah, and bury it. And I had and it severely affected not just my mental health, but how I treated my loved ones at home. I was more irritable, I was snappy, I rarely see them, I was unappreciative. But also remembering that not that you need to utilize quitting all the time, like when it gets hard, you quit, but also know that that is a huge leverage. When I decided to quit, I kid you not, 3 separate partners sat me down and asked me to change my mind.
Yeah, that's how good she was. Still is.
No, but it's this idea that quitting is a huge leverage. You think that that's the only choice you have, but a lot of people actually don't want you to quit. They don't want to have to fill up that role.
Yeah, susah lah.
Yes.
If you quit, you have to hire and retrain and do onboarding all over again, you know?
Yeah, so people don't realize the value or the strength of quitting or threatening to like go the other way if things don't change. So just remembering that that's not just a right, it's a privilege and a source of power. Use that. Whenever you feel like you don't have any other options, because at the end of the day, you do have the option to quit, and that option to quit can be exercised and threatened in a way that is useful for you.
I think for me, I think it really depends on the industry you're in, the level that you're at, the influence that you have. If you do decide to quit, and if you do decide to use quitting as as a leverage, because I don't think it's an option that everyone can have or everyone can use.
That's true.
There are people who may not be in the position to do something like that because of family commitments. They've got a large family, they've got financial commitments. They may also be in an industry where they can be easily replaced, with someone younger, which they can be paid less, compared to a person who is at that level. I know of a lot of people who are afraid of not being able to find another job, once they quit, whether it be because of the position they hold or the age that they're at. They say, we're stuck, and I say, why? Because there's so much of, yeah, but that would mean I'll have to go to another country. I'll have to, work there. It'll mean relocating my whole family. It means being away from our parents. Who's going to care for them? There's so much of commitment that is tied into that particular job's position, for that particular individual.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is, I think from Aissa's point of view, if you are in the position to, that is definitely something that you should, think about and leverage on. And more importantly, I think I like this perspective because it puts yourself first. And a lot of the times, I think people are also scared of taking a risk. Perhaps they are scared to take the next step. But I think I like the perspective where you put yourself first. If you really have to, then consider that leverage. But on the flip side, you mentioned that it might not be an option that is accessible for everyone, which I can see that it might come from a place of privilege, that to be able to switch jobs, for example. So again, I want to bring back this point about like this person, right? What can he do in this situation when you don't even have friends or colleagues to have lunch with? I find that to be just so freaking sad.
And it happens very often. The whole group will go out for lunch and leave these individuals behind. And I think it's awful, but it does happen. And I guess I've come to a stage where I think my advice to this individual would be to look beyond the workplace. Isolation can happen at the workplace, but remember that work is not the only social setting that you're in. You're in a much larger social setting. You've got your neighborhood, you've got your family, you've got your extended family, you've got your past friends from school and university. I think it's very important to try to connect to other social settings which give you that companionship, that friendship, that relationship that we so need as a human being.
So if you can't leave the job, try to find support outside.
Absolutely.
Right? You wanted to say something earlier.
No, it feels, how do I say, like for some people that feels really sad, like eating alone. But for others, some people do see work as a place for work. Maybe they do have strong support system, and having lunch alone and not have to be, pressured to go into company social events can also be quite liberating. But obviously, this person actually feels
wanting that connection, right?
Wanting that connection. I think when it comes to loneliness and isolation, right, it's not just a matter of connection through like talking and having conversations, but it's also the idea of feeling seen and valued.
Wow.
I think my advice to him, if you cannot get that from friendships because you've tried, you still just got acquaintanceship from other people, maybe seeing how you can get that connection and engagement through the work that you do, asking your boss for feedback, because obviously if you've been here for 5 years, going to lunch alone, you must do good work,
Get yourself invested in your own growth and in the purpose of your work or in your career progression.
Yeah, sometimes validation and connection can come in the form of just pride in your work and people recognizing your value. And that doesn't mean having a friend every day at lunch, but also knowing that you're here for a reason and you are appreciated for your work. So that's something that you can find from your bosses or colleagues as well.
I love what you say. I love that, so much. And I think you also touch on something which I think we need to train leaders on better doing. How do you validate your employees? How do you recognize them? I think that's critical. That's critical for every leader to know how to do.
Yeah. The final point I would like to make before I move on is also to remember that bullying is now a crime. There's like harsher penalties for it. It's recently amended in our penal code. And in my experience dealing with workplace issues as a consultant, is that isolation is actually a very common bullying strategy. And it could be something as simple as, well, we all go out for lunch and everyone is invited except for you. It could be in the form of, we have a separate group with all of the team members and you're not in it, or you are in the group, but when you reply, nobody responds to what you're saying. People just skip your response. It could be that. It could be in the form of not getting invited to like a social thing that, amongst colleagues. So in the past years that I've been, doing work involving workplace bullying, I see that, isolation is actually a very, very common tool. Either as a primary wrongdoing at work, which is also now a crime, or as a secondary wrongdoing. So, in the case of a secondary wrongdoing, it is used to silence. So, for example, you complain of sexual harassment to HR, and everyone's upset at you for doing that because we think it's just a joke and we think it's okay. And as a result, you get isolated.
Oh no.
So I've seen a lot of cases of that in the workplace as well. So yeah, but I want to recap some of the tips and tricks that you shared.
And before you recap, I think you just said it so well in terms of, I think a lot of people wouldn't see workplace bullying like how you've described it. They wouldn't see isolation as bullying. And how do you prove it in a court of law? Oh, I was isolated, so I was bullied,
But you can prove it.
Oh, okay.
You can. Yeah. Don't feel demotivated because you don't have like hard evidence. You can prove it. So there are ways to actually do that.
So another advice to this person would be, if they want to complain, collect data. Make sure to keep the receipts.
Absolutely. So collect it, record it, file a complaint. If you can bring it to some kind of tribunal or IR court, something that is, lesser in cost, I think that is also like something that they can pursue, right?
Yeah.
But you were saying something, Dr. Brandon. Would you like to finish that thought?
No, I finished it actually. I just wanted to affirm you for bringing that up because it's something a lot of people don't think about.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't even, especially as leaders, they don't think about it in the way you've said it, that, bullying can come in different forms and isolation is a big form of it. Yeah. Thank you so much for saying that.
So let's recap all of the tips and tricks that have been shared. So Aissa earlier said that if you are in the position, use your you terminating the contract as a leverage to negotiate a better working environment. And it is a tool that definitely is within your arsenal of rights that you can use, right? But Dr. Brandon also mentioned that if that's not something that you can do, to try and find support system outside of the workplace. So family, friends, try to find that connection and that sense of meaning and community outside where you can actually get it.
And if you can't find that network, then at least speak to professionals who can give you, a professional psychologist or a counselor who can at least temporarily give you and journey with you for that support that you need.
Absolutely. Then Aissa brought in a very interesting perspective, which is sometimes this connection at work is not because you lack human interaction, but because your work lack meaning. So that means you don't find purpose or passion in what you do. When you accomplish a task, you don't feel like, I've achieved something. So you don't have the sense of accomplishment, that sense of achievement that, ultimately make you feel good about yourself, improves your self-esteem as well, right? And find validation from your bosses. And finally, we also talk about some of your legal rights that you can pursue either from a civil point of view or now also from a criminal point of view, right? So hopefully that's like something for our audience to think about. If you are listening and you have more tips and tricks that we did not cover, please share them because I would love to learn from your wealth of experience as well. I'm pretty sure you have your own stories to share. So having said that, let's move on to the final part of our conversation today, and that is to basically talk about your unpopular opinion about the workplace. So it could be workplace culture, it could be about the loneliness epidemic, it could be about anything related to the conversation. What, as we were talking about this, right? What were you thinking, like at the back of your head, and do you have any unpopular opinion about it. So while I give the speakers some time to think about it, I want to also tell the audience that if you disagree with the unpopular opinion, that's the whole point, right? The idea is we wanted to create a culture where you can hear someone say something that you absolutely disagree with or inherently against your value as a person, but you can listen to it, you can discern it, you can, analyze and assess it. Because I think it's also a very important quality to have. So we wanted to create a culture where you hear opinions that's not within your bubble, essentially. So yeah, back to our speakers. Do you have any unpopular opinion about workplace loneliness? How about I start with one?
Sure.
Okay. I wanted to talk about workplace loneliness a bit from a gendered perspective. And I think that, workplace loneliness is such a serious issue, right? But I think at the core of it is the lack of emotional intelligence. And in the way that we raise boys in particular, a lot of them grow up to become men who are not comfortable discussing emotions. In fact, we hear a lot of the times men will say, when women bring up their emotion to want to discuss, either in a marriage, in a relationship, or even at work, I hear this all the time. Don't be emotional. As soon as someone brings up, like, I feel this way, I don't feel safe, I don't feel supported, then, they will simply say, you're being emotional. So, my unpopular opinion is that if you are the kind of person who thinks that when women brings up their emotion, they're being emotional, then that means you lack emotional intelligence. What do you think?
Can I add on to that? I know it's a different point, but just because you brought in gender, I think also just in that same in that same space, we also need to talk about women as well. Because I think sometimes in the workplace, women can get together and leave out other women or leave out other men. So they exclude people, and it happens more among, at least from my observation, it happens more among women. And that too needs to be addressed in terms of emotional intelligence. So you're absolutely right. On one hand, you've got
that in itself is an unpopular opinion.
Absolutely.
Like, I have a million things to say right now.
I know. I'm so glad I did it. But
but yes, go on.
As a man, I have to stand up for the men. No, I'm just kidding. So you've got men that need to learn emotional intelligence from young, but you also got women that need to learn emotional intelligence in a way where it balances off the dynamics, especially when they go into the work world, so that they understand.
What kind of dynamics, though?
I would think that it needs to be where there is this recognition that if you're all part of the same organization, then we need to include everyone. And I think we often forget that.
So your unpopular opinion is that women have a tendency to exclude men sometimes in their circle of support, in their network.
Or even other women. They
or
tend
other
to,
women, yeah.
And
so like cliquish, being cliquish.
Absolutely.
Okay, Aissa, do your thing. No, I'm just joking. What do you think?
I think that's interesting. that your observations are that more women do that. Because my observation is that more men do that.
Wow.
In a sense that, we hear things like it's a boys' club. And we hear things like what you just said, you're being emotional. So sometimes it's the context of like, do I feel safe to talk about things around men? Maybe there is a form of intimidation or like power distance that sometimes men don't even realize they have just by existing in this world.
That is absolutely true.
Just by existing in this world.
Yeah.
If you exist in a world that is built by men for men and every system is patriarchal, then yes, when you exist in a system that is made and designed for you, you have privileges, right? But I think one thing that you say that I'm curious about is this idea of trying to include more men. in our circle, right? But I also agree with what you say. So I see both as something that could be done potentially. Um, like women including more men, but men have to want to be included in these conversations where we talk
Absolutely.
about our feelings, we talk about our disappointments,
Yes,
we
yes,
process
yes.
our feelings with our friends and in these circles, right? And I have conducted quite a bit of like workplace circles.
Yeah.
And oftentimes when we have a mixed gender, my observation is that when the women are talking about their feelings and just like basically processing out loud, I will have one man or two that will say, well, let's not talk about the problem, let's talk about solutions, and not understanding that we're not here because we can't think of a solution. We have a solution and we probably have implemented that solution. But this circle is to talk about our feelings and our emotions. And I feel like that is something that is not intuitive for them.
Yeah.
So I also think that yes, women, let's make more effort to include men, but it is not men's job. It's not women's job to solve men's loneliness or men's exclusion if it comes at a point where you are just not comfortable talking about your feeling. So if that is the situation, then men need to start your own circles. Talk about your own feelings, talk about the things in the way that you talk about it.
Actually, that was something that I wanted to speak on as well. I think we need more men's circles.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I can see there's a lot of support groups within, informally within the workplace, as well as outside of the workplace, very formal organizations that give support to women. Try Googling men's support group.
Yeah,
This,
somebody
this could be your calling. Obviously, you feel it.
Yeah.
You know there's a need.
Let's do it. Let's do men's circle, Dr. Brenda.
I've been thinking about starting it for the last
Please
couple of
do
years.
it. I think it's a great initiative.
Yeah.
And
Or maybe start like Men's Aid Network or Men's Aid Organization.
yeah, you've got Women's Aid Organization.
You
there
have
should
like
be Men's
Awam,
Aid
you have
Organization.
WCC, so many
Absolutely.
great organizations and NGOs in Malaysia looking at women's welfare. But they are started
Absolutely.
by women because
Yeah.
of the challenges that women face.
Absolutely.
So, men, collectivize, start your own thing, talk about your
Absolutely.
emotions.
Because I think oftentimes we see men as having power or more power, is what you say. In some organizations, it doesn't happen in all organizations, but some organizations, it seems like as if men. But I think we forget that we are only looking at the top. There's still a lot of men who are at the bottom who will never get to the top. No matter what they do. It's very similar to situations where women are facing.
Absolutely, because after all, power, position, and privilege is intersectional, right?
Yes.
There's your race, there's your socioeconomic status,
That's right.
and all of that. Which is why
Absolutely.
I strongly, strongly believe that there should be more men's circle.
Yeah.
More men should like collectivize, start like NGO support
Absolutely.
system. Talk about suicide prevention.
Yeah.
Just for men, even perhaps, right? Because I think that although our challenges and our feelings are similar, but the way you talk about them is different, the way you express them is different, and perhaps you would feel less of a barrier talking about it amongst your bros, right?
Yeah.
So I think because that's what women achieve by collectivizing, but also to make sure, like Dr. Brandon said, include other women and try to be as inclusive as possible. But at the same time, I think men need safe spaces as well, so that they
Absolutely.
learn, the 5 aspects of emotional intelligence, right? Like the self-awareness, self-regulation. What else? Empathy, social skills. Missing one from all of this. Whatever, you can look it up. So yeah, I think that would be my unpopular opinion. So do you have anything else that you want to add on?
I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion, but it's becoming more and more obvious during this conversation that we kind of make burnout like our problem. Kind of thing, like, oh, how should you have this difficult conversation? What should you do when your boss is difficult? But there's not enough like will or like people talking about the systems that are problematic. Yes, we did mention the system is problematic, but even as we are talking, we don't talk about how systems can change, how complaint system can be more fair and inclusive and take into account those power distance and the exclusion in groups. And so, and yes, the law has changed to facilitate that process, but obviously even with the law in place, there's a lot of skepticism on it. And so I just want to move away from this is like burnout is your problem.
No, burnout is result of capitalism and patriarchy and a lot of, these different ways that systems are created. But I absolutely love that perspective, right? Companies need to do more, change your policies, change your framework, have more meaningful mental health and wellness initiative that actually helps. And system can absolutely change.
And when we talk about meaningful, wellness campaigns and mental health campaigns, it shouldn't be just a one-off thing. I think oftentimes organizations say, "Oh, let's have a one-day thing," and then it gets cut down to a half a day, and then by the time it's actually delivered, it's half an hour, and they think that's going to cure all problems for 365 days. It's not.
Yeah, and I also wanted to say the second layer of burnout is that people often see burnout as overworked. So if you get burned out, you can't hack it because you can't work hard. But most of the time, burnout is a result of the lack of mental health safety or the lack of psychological safety.
Yes.
And so we just need to remember that when you're burnout, it's not because you're not hardworking or anything. It's because the forces around you are not working with you and did not give you conditions to thrive and be successful. And so just really want to make this point that when you burn out, as somebody who has been burned out, it is you are not the problem.
Yeah.
It's I love how you say it, because oftentimes we tend to self-blame, and there's a lot of guilt.
Yes.
And there's a lot of grief.
Yes.
And it takes so long to overcome that because we internalize it. We think that it is us. We are the problem.
Yeah. And it also will be like PTSD, right? So when you go to the next workplace, even if it's healthy, even if it's inclusive, you carry this trauma with you, and you carry like these fears, the panic attacks follow, and all of that. So it will be a big problem. So that's all the time that we have. Thank you so much. I enjoyed this conversation so much. But I want to give you a final chance to say something else to our audience here. Perhaps a shout out to an upcoming project. If they want to reach out to you for help, or to attend your mindfulness course, how can they do that? So, what would you like to say? Final words to the audience and a bit of a shout out. Maybe. Okay, Aissa can go.
Okay, so I have a mindfulness platform for moms. It's called Kind Moms. Check me out on Instagram. We also have a website, and it's just where we share tips and tricks from. I feel like moms are like the most undervalued and overworked employee, if anything.
In the household.
Yes, in the household. So check out Kind Moms or Aissa Mindfulness on socials. I would love to.
If I can add on to that, I am a big fan of her Kind Moms platform. It's not just for motherhood. A lot of the tips and tricks that she shared, I actually find them useful even in the context of the workplace. So really keep up the great work.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I just want to have people understand that you can actually bring joy into the workplace. There is so many ways that we can better the workplace to make it more humane for human workers to work in. And as a consulting psychologist at People Transformers, I'm happy to see how, I could journey with you in your journey in terms of making it happen to bring joy in the workplace.
Thank you so much, the two of you, for all of our audience. Check both of their work out. This has been great, and this has been an episode that is teaching me so much as well. So for those of you, follow us on our socials. Watch out for the next episode. This has been Mischief in the Pantry. I am Emellia, Shariff, your host, and checking out. See you.